Great. Thanks, everyone. We have a ton of people on this call. Very exciting. So just giving you an overview of the series and for today. So this is part 3 of 4, taking you from this pre-swipe in session 1 all the way to locking it down on Thursday. And a reminder for the series, we really want you to walk away with an abundance and playful mindset for dating. It should be fun. Also having tips and tricks to practice and put into your life, because that's where the magic's going to happen. And then a chance to connect with our community here with your videos on. So today is date time. So, in our last session, we had flirting 101. You both swiped right, you've been texting, and you've driven to the first date, whether it's on Zoom or in real life. So at the end of this session, you will walk away with how to plan a date, how to prep to be the best version of yourself for that date, and how to have fun connecting with a new person. So it might be helpful to have some of your first dates in mind. And as a reminder, Sineade will be going on a mock date with one of you. Don't worry, you already know who you are, so we're not just going to randomly call on someone, although that could be fun as well. So let's get started with a chat prompt. How many first dates have you been on since COVID, and have they been in real life or on Zoom? I'm going to ask Rachel, because you're unmuted.
I should have done the math before this. I think that's not impressive. Like, it's not, a big number. I want to say maybe like 2 or 3.
Okay.
And I think it's been a mix. I think I've done at least one FaceTime, first date. And I've done one like masked, across, at a picnic table outside first date. But to be honest, I didn't see a huge difference. I'm open to both of them. I think I actually maybe like FaceTime dates a little bit more. Now that that's the thing we all get to like know and compare about ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. How about you, Sineade?
I've been on a couple, and I kind of felt like because it was video call for me, just like through phone. And I thought it was cool because you're kind of bringing the person into your house, and like it's a little bit more intimate in that way. Like they're seeing you kind of in your own natural habitat versus like, when you're like all like polished at the bar or whatever. I mean, you'll still
get the D floor.
On the D floor. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole different environment. Chris is shaking.
Don't shake your head, Chris.
No, we're not going to let D floor happen. We're going to stop it here. It stops.
No, the more you fight it, the worse it's going to get, Chris.
The more enjoyable it is.
Let them work it out.
It'll be a meme after this, like just don't fight it. But yeah, I really like the whole like having someone kind of just chatting to you while you're at home kind of thing. It's quite cute.
Yeah, nice. I've been on 23 first dates, mostly. That either says I'm really like prolific or just really unsuccessful at dating. But they've been mostly socially distanced walks, sober in the daytime. So it's like kind of like job interviews a little bit. Yes, this is why Queer Dating 101 was born, actually. Cool. And yeah, that was mostly in real life, but I'm here in Hawaii, so we can do a lot of things outdoors, which is nice. Awesome. Okay. So let's dive in. A few mindset reminders that I bring up every time, because these are really, really important to dating and just having a good experience for yourself dating. So remember, 1 + 1 should be greater than 2. So satisfying your own needs and trying to live happily ever now, and really knowing what your needs are and being resourceful about how to satisfy them. On that note, to focusing on abundance and not scarcity. You don't want to swipe or do anything dating related while horngry, so like lonely or frustrated or desperate. And really remember that there are many ways to get the feelings that you identified in that first session that you want to feel. It can be other relationships like family and friends, activities that you do on your own and me time, and of course, like a romantic relationship, and that can be with many people as well, so many different people. You want to cultivate a growth mindset, so you don't have to be good at any of this right now, and the key word here is yet. So, you're not good at text flirting yet, you're not good at first dates yet, and really being focused on that journey of learning and growing. And then remember to get down the funnel. You really want to get the hell yes or hell no. And the sooner the better, right? The maybe in that middle is pure hell. And rejection saves you from wasting time and energy on the wrong person. So really celebrate rejection and remember that you're one step closer to getting the feelings that you're really looking for. So before we really dive into things, I want to chat briefly about communicating needs and boundaries. That's going to be really important throughout the dating process. And because I love slides, I'm just going to jump to slides now. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that. So when do needs come up? Well, they come up all the fucking time, right, in dating. So whether you're texting or talking about meeting up or sex or you hauling it, basically everything in a relationship requires communicating needs and boundaries. It comes up in all relationships, friends, family, coworkers, and definitely within yourself too, understanding your own needs and boundaries. And really, the important thing to remember is that there's nothing wrong with having needs or boundaries. Like everyone has them. And if you don't acknowledge them, they'll still kind of fuck up your life. So, you know, an example is a lot of us have really strong needs for connection and for social connection. And this has been really hard during COVID. But you can only willpower through ignoring your needs for a certain amount of time. So it's really about thinking about healthy ways of satisfying your needs or setting your boundaries and communicating that. So no one can be too needy per se. You can be like very responsibly high maintenance. It's really about understanding what your needs are and resourcefully satisfying those needs. You know, remembering 1 + 1 has to be greater than 2. And it's okay to ask others for help with those needs, but not to expect them to solve it for you or to blame them if they can't or won't. It's your responsibility to find different ways to satisfy your needs. So how do you do that? First, you really want to understand and acknowledge your needs without judgment. So is it really about sleeping with a lot of people, or is it about, you know, emotional intimacy and sexual pleasure? And there are very different ways to satisfy different needs. So being very clear with yourself what it is that you need. You want to state your need to someone else and invite them to help. So as an invitation instead of a demand, and try to be as clear as possible with what you're asking for, but also open-minded about different ways to solve it or to satisfy those needs. And the reasonableness of your request is probably going to be in proportion to your relationship with them, like the time and intimacy you've spent together. So if you've just matched with someone, you're probably not going to ask them to text you every 2 hours and you expect it, you know, at a minimum, and that they call you to say goodnight. So try to keep that kind of reasonableness in mind. Unless that's really important to you, then you know what, lay it out there and see if someone's a good fit. Then you want to graciously accept the response and look for enthusiastic consent. So that's yes with an exclamation point. And remember that this is like a game of Go Fish. So, you know, it's okay to ask, do you have a 5? And if they say go fish, there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting a 5, and there's nothing wrong with them not being able to provide that for you. It's just a question of compatibility or fit. So if they do, you know, if they can help you, you want to follow through with what you're asking for. So, for example, if you're enforcing a boundary or you get what you asked for, and if they don't, you want to gently remind them and try to enforce it. And if they continue to not kind of follow through, this might be a fit issue, right? That they weren't actually able to provide for that. And then express gratitude, right? Thank the other person for their help. On the flip side, it's also okay to not comply with someone else's request. You should only do that if you feel enthusiastic about helping or complying. And you can say something like, you know, thank you for being open and direct with me. No, I can't comply, but I can do X if you can help them out in some other way. So yeah, this is really important as we head into first date and beyond. Communication is so key. So switching gears now, in the last session, we talked about flirting 101 and how to drive to that first date. So now we're going to talk about how do you prepare for that. So they've agreed to meet up. Your job is done, right? You did an excellent job. No, hell no, 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 no. You want to put some effort into planning this date because it reflects well on you and also demonstrates your interest in them. So 3 days plus before your date, you want to do some planning. And this is going to be pretty similar whether you're in real life or on Zoom. So first you want to check in on your boundaries and expectations. So this can be everything from logistics. So like how much time are you free? Even on Zoom. So like some people see first dates very differently. So on a recent Bad Queers podcast, Robin mentioned that she likes to do 20-minute kind of screening virtual dates. Other people like to do 2 to 3 hours, and I have been known to do like 9-hour first dates. So people have very, very different ideas of first dates. So it can be helpful to get on the same page. Like what I like to do is meet for a sunset walk and then leave the back end open. So if it is going well, I can be like, hey, do you want to grab, a picnic dinner type of thing. And same thing with alcohol. It can be helpful to know what you're getting into. So if someone, even on a Zoom date, right? Like, should I prepare a drink? Are you going to be just so you're on similar vibes? And this is important, obviously, in person. Alcohol, diet. So bad idea to take me to Lobster Shack because I'm allergic, EpiPen allergic to shellfish. That could be a very exciting date though. And COVID stuff. So like I see my parents quite regularly, my elderly parents. So it's important for me to like have masks and be socially distanced and outdoors. So these are really important to know beforehand because once you start drinking, sometimes your risk tolerance seems to go up. So knowing that for yourself beforehand is really important. And then you want to offer options for the first date. This shows effort and creativity and flexibility and thoughtfulness. So here's an example that I had sent in San Francisco. So I gave 4 options like dinner and dancing, trivia night, escape room, and Japanese onsen. And this is a good chance to get their thoughts or views on the romantic sexy spectrum because Japanese spa is like typically naked. So I like to just throwing it out there and see what you think about this. So it's even better if you can tie it to something in their profile or something that you had chatted about while texting. So this example is actually from someone who had mentioned their love of escape rooms. So that is actually what we ended up doing. Of course, it's more complicated during COVID, but you can still be creative, like sometimes it's sunset walk, sometimes it's afternoon walk, or hiking or snorkeling in Hawaii. I think you can still get creative in this. And even if you're doing a video chat, it can be a good idea to have an event planned. So, you can bond by doing something like cooking a meal together, or house party is like a kind of cell phone app game, or watch a movie together. Ideally, one you can talk over so you can like bond over that too. So I want to know what you have done on your favorite first date during COVID. So I'll start with Rachel.
Again, I'm going to give 2 answers just to be thorough because I have gone on some FaceTime dates and I've gone on some IRL dates where I'm lucky where there's actually like a really famous sculpture garden very close to where I live. So it's, like a lot of really nice art and it's really beautiful and it's all outdoors. So it's very COVID safe. It was actually a favorite first date spot of mine even before COVID just because it's very chill, it's free. It's a good space to talk, but it was really convenient during COVID. So I've had a lot of nice first dates there. Where we've kind of walked around and you can kind of talk about the art and you can, if you're kind of getting stuck or there's an awkward thing in conversation, you have this thing right in front of you that you can kind of bring up and chat about. You can also like take a seat on the grass or buy some picnic tables if you are getting along well and want to, talk a little more. And then I actually really like FaceTime dates. I feel like those have gone really well for me, but it is kind of fun sometimes to like take advantage, like Sinead was saying, about how, you know, you are kind of like in your home and it's already kind of an intimate setting. And so to try to get to share some of the things that it's harder to share now because of COVID. So I had a really nice brunch date with someone I was seeing. We were like, oh, like we can't kind of, you know, it's such a nice thing when you're dating someone in real life to get to have a kind of lazy Sunday brunch after you've been hanging out or after you slept over or something. And so we made a brunch date for like 10 a.m. where we both like cooked brunch in our kitchens and then went and sat and ate it together. It was very sweet.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, this was for a second date, but for a Zoom date, I did 36 questions to fall in love, the New York Times one.
I got so stressed out just hearing you talk about that. I
really intimate for a second date. But this was after the 9-hour first date in person. So to be fair.
Did it work? Are you in love?
No, we don't see each other anymore.
Wow.
But then the next time we met in person, we did the 4-minute eye gaze. Chris is always like this, like that's too intimate. Yeah. There's a lot of bonding. It's weird. I don't know. Has anyone done an eye gaze? It's a lot.
Where did you get that idea from?
From the New York Times, this little publication in America over here. This was like, do these questions, and it's like super intimate though.
You know, the thing is, I think I've seen that article, I have, and I read through them, and some of them were just a little bit, I don't know, forward, but not in the best way.
That's America for you. We're forward, but not always in the best way. So.
Okay, Nicole, this is not an American issue. This is a you issue. The rest of us are not going on 4-minute eye gaze dates.
No, third date.
To get the wrong idea. Okay.
Third date.
In that case, never mind. That's super normal then.
Super normal. She did hang my fairy lights up in my house, so that's like
a win.
That's a win, right? Yeah. That's what you get for eye gazing, you know?
Well, I feel like that should be our next company bonding activity, 4-minute eye gazing.
Melody's like, we're out. We don't want that. That's why it's not on a slide. Okay. I wouldn't generally recommend this. So, all right. Sinead, actually, do you have any good first dates?
What did I do on my first dates? On the virtual ones, it was movie night. We'd been talking about Killing Eve, and I'd never seen it. Obviously, I haven't seen anything. So she was like, "Why don't you can use like Netflix Party and like things like that." So she like share screen and stuff like that. And I love doing that in first lockdown. I think it's really cool. The only downside is because it was kind of like a first date, we kind of wanted to talk a little bit first, and it can kind of get in the way a little bit. But when you do actually get around to chatting, it gives you something to talk about. So there's that. And the second one, again, COVID walks. I mean, you can't knock it. It's nice. And it's like
not knocking it. Yeah,
like you said, it's something that you can walk away from at any point, and it's just super chilled. Yeah.
How do you walk away from it at any point? You just walk much faster than they do.
No, you're just like, well, so this was great. Well, you know, I've got to go, or, you know, just something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the clubs and the D floors. That's going to be first date on the D floor. Brings me so much joy. Okay, so yeah, a few other considerations. So if you're in real life, you want to pick a COVID-friendly location and activity. So again, just getting a sense of what it's a good conversation, right? Like, what are you up for? What do you feel comfortable with? Make reservations if relevant back in the day, and figure out transport, especially if you plan to drink. For video dates, a bunch of technical things, right? Check your lighting, that it's coming from in front and above, watch the glare on glasses, look at your backgrounds, that it's like not super questionable, but it's also helpful to have like conversation starters like, hey, are you a sailor? Because you have an anchor in your background, or do you routinely harvest starfish? But you know, you can have books or albums that you like, artists, and those can be good conversation starters. You want to check angles, so you know the best is kind of in front and ideally slightly above. Make sure that there's not a ton of ambient sounds. Earphones can kind of help with that. Basically, your general Zoom tips, right? in the beginning of quarantine, I would practice with a friend, like, how does this work? Like, does it sound okay to you? And I recommend pinning the video so you're not just staring at yourself, although I think we all kind of like looking at ourselves at the same time. But that way it feels more like an actual first date. And close, if you're one of those people, I can't have tons of tabs open. It's like a big pet peeve for me, but some people have like hundreds of tabs open. You might want to close those just so you don't get distracted. Someone had asked, I'm an Aquarius. I don't know if that says a lot about my need for organization. Okay, so now it's the day of, and how you prep for this should be basically the same, whether it's in real life or in Zoom, because basically you want to feel like the best version of yourself, so the most confident, the most secure version of yourself. And the things you would do even if you're on video, right? Like you want to smell good because you know that you can smell yourself. So prep physically, exercise, masturbate. This was one that I was told to add. They both kind of help get rid of nervous energy. They can calm you down and bring blood to your face. Be rested or take a nap too. So I get really nervous the night before a first date that I'm really excited about, so I can't sleep that well. So sometimes I take a little nap. You want to shower, groom all your hairs, depending if that's your thing. Put on your perfume or cologne or whatever scent you like to wear. Basically feel good, right? And cut your nails. You want to be ready for anything. Like typing, right? You want to type well. You don't want clickety clack. That's why queer women cut their nails, right? That's what I've been told. You want to dress to impress, including below your waist, even if it's a Zoom thing. So wear pants or a dress or whatever it is. The point is, dress all the way through. You really want to feel good about yourself. So how do you decide what to wear on a first date? Do you have a go-to outfit? And does your gender expression change based on your date? This is not my go-to. I do have a go-to one that I wore last time because, as Chris said, I'm very method about this. Sinead, what do you wear on first date? Actually, tell us a little about what you're wearing today.
Today I've kept it quite casual, actually. I'm just wearing a cute little halter neck crop top, but it's something that flatters my shape, so I feel good in it. On a Zoom date, was that the question, or just first dates in general?
First dates in general, yeah. Or do you dress differently for them?
I wouldn't really say that I dress differently. I think I tend to keep it quite casual on a first date, unless we're going like somewhere really snazzy. But I don't know. I don't want to like overdo it. I want to keep it quite calm for a first date. I don't know why. I want to give like a impression of everyday me, not like super dressed up me. So I can kind of give like a more authentic impression. But that's just me, the way I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. Having an authentic expression of yourself, that came up in Flirting 101. I think Danny was really about be authentic, express your passions, because you want to find a match, right? You're not just trying to win a popularity contest. So
right.
That's a good one. I would do that just to manage expectations of like, I'm not going to look like this on every single day. How about you, Rachel?
It's a good question. I think I'm trying to think back to, a decade ago before COVID. And I feel like a lot of my first date planning is usually like, it's very functional. It's very pragmatic, honestly. Like I want to think about like, what's something I look good in, but also like if I end up hooking up with this person, which I am usually trying to, how is this going to play out? Like, I don't want to wear something that I look hot in, but it's going to take us like 20 minutes and two people working together to take off. Like,
Whoa. Time out. Please describe this outfit that takes two people and 20 minutes to.
You know what? Some of us eye gaze, some of us are wearing complicated underwear. We all have our things, Nicole.
That's fair. That's fair.
Thinking about even just things like, oh, is this top, like I look hot in this top, but is it going to be like a bra that's really annoying to wear, that like it's going to be a whole thing. I'm not going to be honest, like I'm not going to wear rings, like that's a whole annoying thing. Like you know, am I going to leave them at her place when I take them off? So actually one thing that for me has been really cool and liberating about COVID dating is that for me, like, you know, my household and I have a lot of COVID precautions and are really like, you know, there's a lot of vetting and we have to be pretty serious about someone before we kind of let them enter our pod and interact with them without masks, which includes having sex. And so for me, like sort of casual unplanned sex where you just like see how it goes with someone doesn't really exist anymore, which, you know, that sucks, but it also is like, oh, like, you know, I don't have to think about that anymore. Like if I want to have a FaceTime date or even an IRL date with someone where I wear like something that feels really hot, but that I know, you know, isn't as pragmatic as what I would usually wear, I can, which is kind of, you know, a thing I'm finding pleasure in.
Nice.
But it is something to think about. Is, you know, I was thinking about it because I think we all have to get dressed up for things like this now. Like, you know, what tracks as sort of like, you know, both looking hot on Zoom and making you feel hot is so different. You know, like I really had like, what's the 6-inch rectangle between my cleavage and my neck? Like, you know, how are we really going to maximize that? Because that's for the most part what people are going to see. And so you really like start to think about yourself a little differently because this like square that's visible on the internet is suddenly so much real estate that has, you know, so much importance.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And the whole pod thing too, I think it's not even sex, right? It's just kissing. You're already crossing COVID boundaries there too. So
Totally.
yeah. Okay, great. Interesting. I do actually change gender expression sometimes based on the date. Like I would take a more feminine dress or like a more like chapsticky shirt or plaid shirt or something. Okay, so you want to eat conservatively, especially if you're going to drink. So basically eat things that aren't going to upset your stomach. That's what I mean by conservatively. Or make your breath stink, like even if you're not meeting in person, like you'll feel it, right? So you want to feel very comfortable. And then booze, right? I personally like a little alcohol before, especially if I'm not driving or definitely during the date, but it's totally great if you don't either. I think this is totally about personal preference. So I'm wondering, do you drink on dates in the chat? Like I said, I think it's a little bit of a social lubricant and will make things just a little bit smoother and more fun. But again, you want to tap in with yourself and making sure that you're respecting your own boundaries, the other person's boundaries, and definitely you don't want to be sloppy drunk, right? I'm curious, Sinead.
I do, because I just find that it helps me loosen up a little bit and helps the other person loosen up. So I don't get a little bit too like rigid, but that's just me. I don't know. Yeah, no, I really enjoy drinking on a first date.
Yeah, cool. Rachel?
I usually do. I mean, you know, astute viewers will notice that I am in fact drinking now. But I do think it's pretty easy and chill and not a big deal to just to check in with the other person, because I don't like to assume that people drink, and I also like to sort of make some space for that. And so, you know, for planning a date, I will often sort of be like, oh, I'm not sure if you drink or not. Like we could grab a drink on FaceTime, or we could do this other thing, and just sort of give some space for the other person to talk about that in a way that isn't like intense or weird or judgment, you know. That lets them know it's an option, but it's also like a super neutral, not a big deal if we do a different option.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm usually like sunset walk with White Claws. That's my go-to now.
I had a really nice IRL date where we went on a walk at the sculpture garden, and they had actually pre-packed like 2 drinks in mason jars with like lids to bring for both of us, so we could have like, you know, our separate, you know, distanced drinks across the table. I know they were cancer. They were really, you know, very giving, very domestic.
I have no idea what that means, but I think that sounds really awesome. Okay, cool. So moving to kind of prepping mentally and emotionally, like prepping your mindset. So you want to review the information. This is like the nerdy student in me. You want to look at your text exchanges, their profile and their social. You want to look at your profile and your social, so you know what they know and what you told them, so that you know you're bringing all of that. It shows like intentionality. It shows like, you know, you're into them and you've taken the effort to really do that, right? Because nothing's worse than like someone tells you a story they've told you like 3 times already. You want to review your boundaries as mentioned on the previous slides around COVID and sex. You want to prepare conversation topics. Good ones are like continuing things you've talked about in text, maybe exploring their profile more, or getting into a recent Instagram post that they did. So I want to know, what are people's good first date topics? So here's some general ones that maybe are stereotypical. Coming out story, astrology sign, L word crushes, not going to work for Chris, Rachel, or Sinead. Original or reboot, but still not going to work for any of them. Sports, probably not going to work for me very well. I can probably fake my way through something. What you're looking for in dating. And then you want to try not states, probably because I bring them up. Politics, I mean, this one's sometimes, people do bring it up, and current events are very timely, and, this is big topics for people. Just trying not to go to super polarizing topics before you like have a chance to find room to bond first, like space for connection first, and trying to keep it light. So Rachel, what's your number one topic that you always go to?
I do, first of all, just want to plug briefly that we are actually running a series of articles on Autostraddle to kind of match up with this series and to really kind of cover and to bring together some of our most classic and kind of like really helpful and really very concrete and servicey dating content about kind of the same things we're covering in this series, about like what to talk about with people, how to get to know someone, figuring out how to make a connection, to get a relationship to work. And actually the piece we published today is about 25 questions to ask people on a first date. And I like a lot of the ones that I chose on there because I think, to me, a really fun thing to do in a way to kind of test if you're going to get to be able to connect with someone authentically is to try to ask questions that speak to someone's values and how they feel and what they think about things, rather than kind of like concrete facts about their life, because that really opens up space for the conversation to go further. So I love to ask questions that kind of are very open-ended and answer and invite people to tell me a story or a kind of an important fact about themselves. So I love asking like, oh, like, how did you meet your best friend? Tell me about them. Because that's, something that likely is revealing about them, but also lets them talk about something that they care about and is important to them. I love asking, more so than like, oh, what do you do for work, or where do you live? To ask questions about how they feel about those things. So like, oh, so like, what's your favorite thing about your job? Or like, I don't know, or, oh, are you new to the city too? You're also not born here? I don't know. What do you find hard about it? Like, I really find this really frustrating. What do you think? And to let people kind of share, thoughts and feelings in a way that kind of can speed up getting to know them and makes us feel like we are a little more intimate.
Nice. I'm guessing those 25 questions are not like the 36 though, like in level of deep intimacy.
I have to be honest, I didn't ask anyone to eye gaze.
Well, that's why it should be 26 questions. Can you eye gaze me for 4 minutes? Maybe 2 minutes. 2 minutes is probably, you still get as much, you still get more than half of the impact, I think. Okay. Slide into my DMs if you're into eye gazing. No, don't do that. Okay, so prepping some conversation topics, maybe some anecdotes even. It's a little bit like an interview, right? Like a job interview. Like you want to prep, but you want to stay loose. You want to also elevate your mood or state. So, like maybe talk to good friends before, laugh a bunch, watch your favorite TV shows, and definitely play your pump up song and dance to that. So what is your favorite pump up song? Mine was Lizzo, Good as Hell. Though I'm now still on a Miley Cyrus kick with Prisoner, which is like, maybe, I don't know, maybe not a great messaging, but I love the beat and it's a hot video. Sinead.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I had some pump up songs going before we got on this call. Because remember, I'm going to a first date. So
I know, this is perfect. Have you done all of this yet?
Yeah, I've done quite a few of these actually.
Okay, cool. You do have a lot of blood in your face right now. So.
Yeah, thanks. Wait, hang on. Not what I was agreeing to. I usually listen to Beyonce before I go on a first date, which is more like, I don't know, maybe 16, 17-year-old me, but there's like a place it brings me to that brings me so much confidence, and it just makes me feel really sexy. So I'm like, why not? So I had that going in my headphones before I came on the call.
like specific certain songs, Beyonce
Oh yeah,
songs, or
yeah. Partition remix, obviously. Upgrade You as well, like that one.
Ooh.
And what else? But yeah, those are my go-to too, definitely. They're kind of sexy but power songs.
They're great. Seeing a lot of agreement in the group.
Oh, Upgrade You is so good. Oh, Chris, you said that. Yeah, that is a classic.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you want to like dance with it too, you know, like if you want to dance to the song and dance with the jitters, you know, figuratively as well, you know, take a deep breath, think of a funny time you had with your friends, and kind of go to your happy, calm place where you feel like the best version of yourself. And remember that what you're feeling is just adrenaline, right? It's sometimes overwhelming, but I actually live for that feeling. And you know, like I dive with sharks and raft like class 5 rapids and go to Burning Man, like just to get that feeling. So with a date, you don't have to risk your life, and it's relatively free. So it's a really great opportunity to feel alive. And you can see it as fear or you can see it as excitement, because they're both just forms of energy in your body, and it's kind of you labeling it as fear or excitement. So, you know, embrace it. It's really beautiful, like being in that absolute present moment where like time seems to freeze and all your senses just sharpen. So it's great. So lucky you, Sinead, that's coming. You want to stay present and leave the past in the past, right? So like even if you had a bad date, you know, a few days before, leave that in the past. And don't idealize the future, right? Like whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So don't be naming your firstborn children just yet. You know, to that end, you want to reduce your expectations while staying open to the possibilities of meeting a new person. So a lot of things can result from first dates, you know, like throw it in chat. What has resulted from some of your first dates? For me, I've had friends, activity partners, lovers, tour guides, shibari partners, road trip buddy through Guatemala, and even got a coaching job through one of my dates. So yeah, Rachel, tell me like one thing that has resulted from a date that you're surprised about.
I have been able to, you know, I think not to, you know, be self-helpy about it, but I think one thing that is so cool about, you know, having strong communication and strong sense of ethics about like how you want to handle relationships is that there's such a good chance that even if it doesn't work out, that you can stay friends with that person. So I had a lot of really good friends in the city that I've met by, you know, first dating them. I actually, you know, have somebody, you know, who we've worked together, you know, people that I have been able to kind of get to know the city through. It's been really nice, especially from someone who, you know, I'm relocating, and I, you know, kind of the easiest way to meet people is dating. And so it's nice to know, you know, that kind of like, oh, we might not get married, this might not work out, but that, you know, I've actually have been able to meet a lot of people and kind of get connected to a lot of networks and communities here that way.
Awesome. Yeah, nice. So, and also keeping in mind that this is a two-way evaluation. So you want to be the best version of yourself, but also keep that fit and funnel in mind. So, you know, are they a good fit for you as well? Arrive on time. I'm not good at this, but it shows respect and that you prioritize their time as well. So try to be on time. And most importantly, try to enjoy yourself, right? You're getting to meet a new person and have a lot of fun. So that's preparing for it. So then you're on it, right? This is about date times. And it's really about the art of conversation. So again, you want to be prepared, but stay loose. So for your greeting, you really want to start positively and know that if it's in real life, it's probably going to be awkward, right? Like you can't really hug them. You like back in the day, I think people were like awkwardly elbow bumping. I feel like no one does that anymore. It might be like one of these hi. So whatever it's going to be, it's awkward, you know, and it's okay to acknowledge that too, or that you're nervous about it. It can be nice to start with a compliment that's genuine and personal if you feel it. And it's a good time to review your boundaries and theirs, and that can be as simple as like a COVID boundary, right? Of like, hey, I want to make sure that we keep our masks on, and try to honor those, because I think once again, if you do drink, sometimes those get a little bit more slippery, so just being careful about that. Then the bulk of the date will be getting to know each other and assessing whether they're going to go down the funnel. So the most important thing here is to actively listen, right? This is like so rare now. I'm a life coach, like an executive leadership coach, and people are like literally gagging to be seen and heard. So everyone knows what that feels like, right? And it feels really amazing. And as Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And you would be amazed about how powerful it is to really be seen and heard by someone who's present and listening to you very intently. So you want to do that. Be present, feel your feet, look into their eyes, maybe less than 4 minutes at a time. It can be intense if it's that long. And focus on what they're saying with their words and also with their body and their tone, right? You can ask follow-up questions, but don't get preoccupied by them, because people can tell, like, even if you're thinking about what to say next to them, they can see that you're not like paying attention right then and there. So try to stay present, and it's okay to have silences between speaking, so you have time to process and then respond. I'm just laughing because Sinead loves silences. She's all about embracing that silence.
To elaborate on that, I'm awful for this. Anyone who I've spoken to over any Zoom call will know that I'm a silence filler. So at any point, if anyone stops speaking, I'm like, so anyway, here's some gap fillers just to stop it from being, even if it's not awkward. I don't know, I have a problem.
Yeah, so try to embrace silences. It's hard. I'm not great at that either. Put away distractions. So put your phone away, like not even in sight, even if you're on a Zoom call, not in your sight. So it's not distracting. And use their name. People really like to hear their names. And it can be really effective. Not if you're like overly going like Rachel. That's a really good point, Rachel. Rachel, I'd like to. But people like to hear their name. So, and use the right name, right? So remember their names. You also want to share information about yourself, because again, it's a two-way evaluation, right? About fit. More green flags than red flags initially, because you're really trying to create that positive first impression. That first impression is quite it lasts for a long time, right? So you want to create the best first impression that you can. Again, keep it light, right? Smile, have fun, enjoy yourself. This should be a fun experience, right? And I say beware of bitchy resting face. So it's a thing, right? And sometimes, especially if you're listening really intently, sometimes I get into this like frown, like intense like look, but just kind of be aware of that as well. I like to say express attraction early and often if you feel it, but don't be over the top with it. So I want to see in chat, how do you express attraction on the first date? For me, like I try to make it really clear that I'm interested in someone, by saying as early as I can, like muster the nerve to say things like, I find you very attractive. I love your smile. I'm excited to continue to get to know you. Can I kiss you? Or like come home with me? In that kind of progressive order. So I usually start slow. And queer women are notorious for not picking up on cues, right? There's so many memes on this, or they're like second guessing. We're second guessing ourselves and being too nervous to make a move, even if someone's hand is literally on your thigh. Of course, things are a bit different now with COVID, and video chats. But I say still, like shoot your shot, right? I mean, the best thing is you move forward with your potential person. And the worst is that it stings a little bit and you clear your funnel. So, celebrate either way and go for it. Obviously with consent, but, shoot your shot. And as the date comes to an end, whether it's 30 minutes in, 3 hours, 9 hours, the next morning, keep in mind what you want to do next, right? Do you want to continue to see this person, to learn more about them? Do you want to kiss? Do you want to exit their funnel? Whatever it is, thank them for a good time. You can express interest and maybe make plans for the next one if it's mutual, if it feels mutual. If not, sometimes it's better just to leave it for texting afterwards to give the other person an out as well. And then if you are interested, text when you get home, or if you're already home because you're on Zoom, text them later and try to make it personal, right? Like some sort of inside joke or a callback to something in your conversation. Awesome. So it is the time to get into first date and what everyone's waiting for. First, a reminder about Sineade. So here is her dating profile. Melody's giving it snaps everywhere. Sineade's feeling uncomfortable. This is awesome. We critiqued this last time, Sineade. I thought it was an excellent profile. So great.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Rachel, did you think so too?
I did, yeah. I think, there's a reason people apply to go on a date with you on Zoom, Sineade.
It's like you work for a dating app or something.
I know.
You should think about doing this for some kind of job.
It's actually not true. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if all of us have great dating profiles. So yeah, that's
where's yours, Nicole?
Oh, I showed it last time. You need to stay up till 3 a.m. to see those sorts of things. And then here is her Instagram. Oops. Ooh. This is the first two scrolls of Instagram on my phone format anyways. So the Google thing is coming up, but I was interested in that bottom right-hand corner, and those are killer videos. And yeah, great first two scrolls. They're pole dancing videos in some sort of competition. I was like, this is amazing. So awesome. Good job, Sineade. Good job. So now it's time to meet our mystery date, and I'm hoping that we have her ready to, have them ready to unmute. So Lilo, is Lilo on?
Hi, here I am.
Yes, Lilo. Thank you. Thank you for putting yourself out there. So do you want to say a little bit about yourself and kind of what you're looking for in dating and why you chose to go on this date with Sineade?
Oh goodness. Who am I? I'm gonna have
just
to ask
a little bit about yourself. Yeah, just to introduce yourself a little bit.
Let's see. I'm 23 years old. I just finished a bachelor's degree in linguistics. It was very difficult. I made good grades, but I broke my brain for them. And
nice.
I've just been so grateful for the time in quarantine to sit with myself. Realized I was gay in 2020.
The best part of 2020.
Exactly. So I'm like a baby gay. I evicted the compulsory heterosexuality that was living rent free in my brain. What I'm looking for in dating, I'm looking for connection, really. I'm looking to explore sexuality, of course, though that's limited these days. I'm looking to always learn how to human at a higher level and learning to just interact as deeply as possible with the miracle of human consciousness. And relationships are part of that I'm really excited about right now. So yeah, that's me.
That is amazing. An awesome Tuesday intention. Really cool, Lilo. Awesome. So I'm going to share your profile and Instagram as well for people to see. So this is Lilo's her profile. Actually, I will critique it very quickly. It looks awesome. Lots of great activities. I've already seen it actually. Rachel, actually we don't have to critique it. I think it's awesome. Very personal and very unique.
Well, I will say that the asterisk, like the footnote, is really making me laugh.
That is a good one. Yeah.
Is that new?
It is, I think.
That
Yeah.
is new. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't notice that before, but that is a great addition. 100%.
I was inspired by the last session.
Oh, nice.
This is
cool.
a great profile, Lilo. I'm like A+. Also
Thank you.
love that like you and Sineade both masked like with your aerial gymnastics and her pole dancing like in the bottom right hand corner. It feels like a great fit.
I cannot wait to talk about that.
Yeah, me neither.
Nice. Whoa. We're not started yet. This is amazing. Cool. So, and this is your first two scrolls of Instagram. Love Happiness Lab. I love Lori Santos. She's awesome. Cute huskies.
Yeah, that's my dog. He died in April of last year, but he was he was 15 and a half years old. He was really sick and old, and I think it was a good death. I got to hold him all the way to the end. So
Wow. All right. That's really, I'm glad you're able to do that at the end.
not to get heavy. It doesn't feel heavy to me.
Okay, nice. And Sineade, why did you choose Lilo?
There were lots of things that kind of jumps out at me. Firstly, they seem really multifaceted, which I think is awesome. They've got like a lot of activities going on, which I think reflects more like in her profile, definitely. And like, I love people. I said this on my like intro video, didn't I? Like, I love people that do things and then can teach me something. So I saw their profile and I was like, yes, this person seems cool.
Nice, awesome. And so under my strict orders, they've only been texting. So this will be the first time that they've actually video chatted or even phone chatted. And so let's look at a snapshot of their text.
Oh God.
So everyone knows what, can people read this, by the way? I can make it bigger.
I think
Rachel,
I can get a sense of it. Yeah, I'm skimming.
Yeah, I thought.
Loving the emoji.
Yeah, there's a lot of emojis going on. I like kind of the aerial and like, yeah, this is good banter, very flowy.
Yeah, and I feel like y'all ask questions to like help each other kind of get to know each other in a pretty genuine way as much as you can over text.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ask too many questions because I was aware that we were going to come on here and then like still be like chatting, getting to know each other. So I was like, I don't want to find out everything about Lilo and then get to the first date and be like, hey.
Yeah.
I really love that. Like, I feel like Lilo really took Nicole's advice without having heard it. And like, as soon as there was the opportunity for a compliment, like they really went for it. Reading like just when Sineade asked why they got into this opportunity or what they were interested in, they said, just from a 5-minute video, you're really gorgeous and thoughtful and brilliant, and it seemed worth a risk to make myself an option. It's chef's kiss. Brilliant. No notes. Great work.
Yeah, and very confident, like compliment plus confidence. I like it. Yeah, very nice. All right. Whew. That's it's time for the mock date. We're gonna watch you on the mock date and then critique it, which is always fun. It feels so much better to be on this side, but it is also really fun to be on a first date. So again, a reminder to everyone, like this is totally non-scripted. I did sync up with both people to make sure that they're comfortable with all the information you've seen and that they're comfortable with anything that happens that comes up. So that's really important as well. I recommend that the daters kind of close the chats and other windows to not get distracted. And then audience, get your popcorn ready and enjoy this voyeuristic time.
Hey, I literally just pinned you so I can pretty much just see you. So it just feels like me and you right now. That's much better to me.
Cool, swell, excellent.
I love your fairy lights in the background as well. It's so cute.
Yes, I like yours too.
Thanks. I have a whole like club vibe going on.
That's so fun. I have all of the colors of the rainbow in my room, so it's super gay. It's very
That's
fun.
cute. I texted you like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, saying like, I'm nervous. I don't know if you're nervous, but I am. But yeah, I don't know. I was sending you a couple of messages while the event was going on. Hope you don't mind.
I just saw the one that you sent a bit ago. Yeah, I just, I was really nervous earlier today, but I just like leaned into the nervousness. I like had a conversation with the part of me that's nervous, and I was like, okay, like feeling better now.
Yeah, I've got this. Don't worry. So let's talk about the aerial, because that's like the thing that swung it for me, which was a pun in itself, and I didn't even realize that. But how long have you been doing that for? That's so cool.
I started doing aerial when I was in 7th grade. At my K-8 school, there was this, we had these things called immersions that were like a week or maybe 2 of like an extracurricular course that a teacher or a group of teachers would put together. And the one that I did in, I think, the fall of 7th grade was called Circus Act. And so we were looking at the works of Alexander Calder and looking at aerial dance. So I started that. I had, the most noodly arms. I was not very strong, but I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, because the one that you do is silks, isn't it? Like with the material that comes down. And that is, I think it's harder than pole. I've tried it. I've attempted it and it was not easy. So hats off to you for that one.
I guess I find pole harder just because I feel like I have so many more options on fabrics, because you can wrap yourself up in it, whereas the pole is just there. And I also, I watched your whole pole journeys story highlight on Instagram. I was like, wow, that's so like, it's fantastic. It's so cool. And I loved your costumes, by the way.
Thank you. I guess this is when we get to be honest about how much we've stalked each other on social media. I'm just gonna put it out there. I've gone pretty deep, like I went quite far back. Like I saw you doing like the step around, like pirouette to front hook, and like the in the kids' playground on like a fake pole. I was like, yes, get it. Oh, it's pretty cool. You did a BA in linguistics as well. More stalking that I've been doing. Did you enjoy it? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I changed my major 3 times in college. I started as an English major, as a creative writing major, and then I switched to physiology, and that did not go well. And then that's a story for another day. I took a linguistics course called Language, Gender, and Sexuality for distribution credits. And then I just got on really well with the professor, and she basically recruited me to the department. I got really into sociocultural linguistics, and I found that it was just, at the time, it was really in line with the way that I wanted to relate to language, what I was trying to figure out about, like, I say, whenever people ask what sociocultural linguistics is, I say that it's studying the chicken and egg relationship between language and our social reality. And because so much of our lives are navigated on linguistic terrain, and me trying to like figure out how to be a human, like differentiate from my family and like become more of a person, I found that it was quite helpful. I majored in psychology too, but I didn't finish that. It was like,
you're a person of many talents. You've just got so much going on.
I know you see it that way. I appreciate that. Yeah. I noticed also that you did an MA in international politics.
Yeah, well, I was going to bounce off what you said, because like we kind of weaved into a little bit of what you were talking about like the politics of language and like the creation of like the common sense and things like that, and how like language kind of forms like what we see as the norm, and then everything else kind of becomes alien to it. I'm not going to nerd out right now because we have a lot of people watching. But we could go so deep into this. But yeah, I'm on a level with that. I just think it's so interesting that you've got like gone so far deep into it. But yeah.
Yep.
So you also do music as well, which is another thing we have in common. I've got my little like keyboard behind me that you can see. What do you do music-wise?
I started out, so I was trained, I'm classically trained on the harp, but
Wow.
I took lessons from 8 to 18. Before that, I played piano, and I still have a keyboard. I still have the same piano that I learned on when I was like 5 years old, and I dabble in that. I don't have a harp right now, so that's like my main compositional tool. Also, I can hook it up to MIDI, so I can like put stuff into Ableton and Logic. So yeah, I've got ports for that. And I play guitar too. And I did play ukulele. My social media handle for most of my teenagerhood was ukulele. And I dabbled in upright bass because I have like the biggest artist crush on Esperanza Spalding.
Yeah, I don't know that one, so you'd have to show me your music taste there. But
amazing Black woman, bassist, composer. She's fantastic. I know.
Well,
But
then you need to send me a link so I can listen after we get off this call.
Yeah. What are your music tastes like?
My music tastes are honestly all over the place, but they're pretty mainstream, which is why I need someone like you to come in and kind of like help me branch out a little bit. So I listen to anything like Lana Del Rey, Billie Eilish, and then the KLA47, you know, just like all over the shop. But you know, it works for me. You mentioned Logic there. Do you use Logic or Ableton?
I got Logic first, but my courses in like music technology and composition at the computer used Ableton more in class, so I just got to know Ableton better.
So you're like bilingual in digital audio workshops as well. What can't you do?
Quantum physics. I'm not much of a hard sciences person.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll know that. I'll tell you what, I'll learn quantum physics, and then that can be my thing to teach to you.
I would love to learn some pole stuff from you.
Yeah. Any day, I'll happily do that. That's one of my favorite things. That's one of my favorite date ideas.
I saw that in the video. Yeah, I thought that was fun. What
would you do if we weren't like on this kind of first date video kind of thing? Forget COVID for a second. Like, what would we do as a first date if you could plan it? I'll put you on the spot here, so like feel free to take your time.
For a first date, I like hiking quite a bit.
Okay.
If you were also into that, then I'd be like, oh, let's go for a hike. Or I'd be like, let's take a dance class together and then hang out afterwards.
God, you love dance too? What kind of dance do you do?
So, okay, well, my program in high school was really like contemporary, lyrical kind of focus. And then in college, I got into more street styles because I got into K-pop for a bit. And I saw their choreography and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It looks kind of like lyrical hip hoppy kind of stuff. And then I was like, I really want to learn like where this comes from, like the actual roots, and learning street styles. I got into hip hop. I got into breaking a little bit. Lately, I'm into breaking and whacking. Oh boy, did I freeze?
Yeah, I don't know if you can still hear me, but I'm still here. Wait, am I moving again?
Yes, I can see you now. You asked what's whacking?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, okay. Whacking is a style that started, I want to say, in like the early somewhere in the 20th century, and it was invented by gay men. It started off as punking, which was like a really like storytelling based in the style of black and white movies kind of dance style, where they're going out to just like express themselves, to express like the rage and the grief of not being able to live as who they really were, but also let loose in the club. And then when comic books started getting really popular, that's when like the whacks, the throws, the bam, pow, pop, bam, whoosh, were they kind of entered the style. So, and then yeah, so that's whacking. Old school whacking is that, and then new school whacking, they're spelled differently. New school whacking is like really technical and really fast, and it's more focused on like the technique. But if you've seen the styles where people like do 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 do,
I have seen that.
yeah.
For those of you in the chat who keep asking for a demonstration, there you go.
Yeah, it's not quite the same effect over Zoom, but yeah. So I was trying not to look at the chat, but someone mentioned voguing. Voguing is from New York, and then whacking is from LA, or they started in those places. So they're really similar, but they have different origins. Yeah, for folks who were wondering.
Wow. I can't believe I found someone who's into so much stuff. Like, that's such a lucky dip. Like, no, I think that's really awesome. I think that really like says a lot about you, and the fact that you know like the history behind these dances, as well as like just like knowing their style, is really awesome.
Thanks. Tell me about, you said you had a bit of a dance background too. I know you do pole. What else has like been your like relationship to dance?
So pole is just something that I got into in like university. So I didn't start doing it until I was like 20, 21. But before that, I did commercial dance and a lot of heels dance as well. And I've been doing that since I was about 10, 11 years old. Like, I've always loved it so much. But then when I got into pole, like I've never given contemporary dance like a second thought. I never thought it was for me. Like I just thought it was slow, boring, or whatever. But like when I saw how much like emotion could be conveyed through pole dance, it really made me fall in love with contemporary dance, because there's just so much like depth of emotion that you can bring to a performance through it. And like I started doing that instead, and I'm in love with it. So COVID is really getting me down at the moment because I can't get to my classes, but you know, we're all here struggling together. I mean, yeah, I just got music to keep me going.
No. You said you write songs a bit. What kind of style, or like what brings you joy about songwriting?
Taking advice from Rachel, I see that. What brings me joy from songwriting? I've always felt like music for me is like a massive outlet, like an emotional outlet. And which means, you know, you got to try not to just write sad songs, because everyone feels inspired when they're sad, right? But yeah, I feel like music is, yeah, it's expression for me, and it's like it feels really free for me, and I love it. And yeah, how about you?
When I'm writing a song, I remember that the word incantation, like a spell, has the same root as has the root for singing in it, cantar, right? And so writing songs for me is maybe less about, of course it's about self-expression, but like I really love using it as like mantras. Like my songs, I've only got like a few that I like, but
You're your own worst critic though, right?
I what? Oh, for sure.
Oh my God.
For sure. But like I like to sing about things that I'm trying to process, things that I'm trying to create in my life, about like the direction I want to go. And yeah, I was just thinking of when you were saying like everyone feels inspired when they're sad, right? There's this Ursula Le Guin quote that I just read, and she says something about how like there's kind of this bent to think that there's not as much depth to happiness.
Right, definitely.
But actually there is, and that's, you know, something I want to, you know, explore in my life as well, like the complexity of joy.
Yeah, it's so much harder though to like convey the depth of that versus like sadness. I don't know, that's why there's so many breakup songs. Wait, Nicole, I'm glancing at you in the top left and I'm thinking that we might have to bring this to a close. As much as I could nerd out about with you all evening about this, and I would love to, I think we have to bring it back to the event now. But
you can definitely continue when there's not 200 people watching you afterwards.
to be honest, I forgot about all 200 of you. Sorry.
Amazing. Yeah, that's do you want to wrap it up, or should we just pause here?
Let's
I really
nerd out later.
Yeah, let's do that. I really like speaking to you. It was nice to talk properly over Zoom.
You as well. Yeah, I'm so glad we got to talk.
Nice. All right. And it's a wrap. Thank you so much, you two. That's so brave. Just a lot of mad props. And I think we were probably more nervous than you. I'm just reading some of the Chris was definitely sweating over there.
Chris was having a hard time.
Nervous. I was like, oh my God, I am so nervous for them. Like every time we do this, I'm like, why am I so nervous? But yeah, thank you, Lilo. Thank you, Sinead. That was amazing. I was so nervous.
So we're going to just spend a few minutes debriefing, because this is the fun part, because, you know, one, we never really get to see people on dates, right? At least not in it. Sometimes I'm always lurking and being like, I think they're on their first date, and then trying to like run commentary on it. But, you know, thank you for doing this. I want to hear about kind of just right now, your impression, your feelings right now. Sinead, why don't we start with you?
I feel like really positive right now. I think it was a lot easier having like Lilo to bounce off, knowing that we had like so much in common, and it just felt comfortable. You know what I mean? So I feel like, I don't know, good vibrations right now.
Nice. Lilo?
I'm also feeling really positively. I'm just like looking forward to getting to chat more. I'm definitely like the 2 to 3 hour first date kind of person. So you're
nice. And I think you kind of touched on this, but like, you know, where would you take it if you were in person, in the same place, let's say?
Should I go first?
Sure. Yeah.
As we mentioned, the pole dancing classes, but that will probably be like a few dates in.
What happens on this pole dancing date?
I think you should mind your business, Nicole. I'm joking.
We are on a queer dating 101 series. Do tell.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we could do something a little bit more chilled, but I think pole dancing class is definitely in order, because we could definitely do a skill share.
Nice. And that's something you had called out, wanting to learn something from someone, from people. That's great. Lilo?
Let's see. I would introduce you to all my plants. What do I do? I don't know, like nerding out over a glass of wine might be the second date. And then Oh gee, I don't know how to answer this.
It's okay. I feel like introducing me to your plants is a really big step, and we shouldn't like we shouldn't make that any smaller than it is. That in itself is an answer.
Amazing, amazing. This is great. And what was your first impressions of each other? Like on when you first got to chat in person or on Zoom and see each other?
I felt like Lilo was really genuine. I think I got very genuine vibes from them, and that kind of put me at ease quite quickly. I didn't feel like the need to be like super energetic and super bouncy to kind of like compensate for the situation. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of felt a little bit like, okay, this is okay.
Nice. Lilo? Your first impressions?
I guess I got like a pre-impression because Sinead was answering questions during the lecture portion before, so I got a bit of a sense of her on camera before. But when we first said hello, she seemed, I think, very present and like also very curious. So that's positive.
Nice. Awesome. I'm going to kick it to Rachel, and I want to just like shout out a couple of things I saw first that I thought were really good around like acknowledging the nervousness, really nice flow of like listening and asking questions to each other. And Lilo is the master of embracing silence and pauses, which I think is so confident and so just thoughtful and intentional. So Rachel, what did you see?
Yeah, I totally agree. I loved that y'all started by talking about how awkward the situation like inherently is. I feel like anything you can do that like kind of like really works off your shared experience like at the outset, like really helps to create a bond and like a little bit of trust and intimacy right away. Even if you're not on a live Zoom date in front of 200 people, you know, even something like, oh my God, like, wasn't it so hard to find this place? I know it sucks. I'm like so embarrassed. Like, even that is like you already have a little bit of something that's shared, which is really nice to build off of, and maybe you've had like a chance to laugh a little, which is so nice, I think. And I just loved it. I mean, I know again that y'all are, this is a specific environment, but I thought the level of thought that you both had put into like, oh, I looked into that you did this, and you know, you had clearly kind of like thought about the person ahead of time and developed your own reactions and kind of, you know, not even in a place of like developing questions or like an outline, but really you're like, oh, like I've noticed this person does this, like, oh, that's so interesting. Here are my thoughts on that. Like, I'm excited to share them with this person later. You know, regardless of how the conversation goes, I think it speaks so highly to like your intent and what you've brought to that space. It really helps to develop like a good feeling and a good connection right away.
Nice. Yeah. The background research, in-depth research, slash some people are calling it stalking, was really great. I mean, it's there, right? Like, so it showed that, you know, you took the time and effort to do that. Chris and Melody, any thoughts? Chris.
Yeah, Melody, any thoughts?
I'm just super impressed with both of them, and just, I mean, in love. I've been in love with Sinead for a long time now because I've had the pleasure of working with Sinead. Yes. So, but you know what? If I had to lose Sinead to anybody, I think Lilo has it going on. So it was very insightful, and I'm just super happy.
Nice. It's really sweet. Chris?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it was just a really just chill conversation. I don't know why I was nervous, but I was nervous for y'all. But no, it was great conversation. Both of you have so much to talk about and a lot of great interest to get into. So that's awesome. So yeah, this has been just great to watch for everybody. Thank y'all.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. You know, we only had like 10 or 15 minutes, and it was interesting also the navigation of like, I'm getting to know you and throwing in a little bit more flirtation, you know, like where would this go type of thing. I thought that was like, I could see where this was headed, but it wasn't like rushing anywhere. So the pacing was really nice. Awesome. So Thank you so much. We're gonna wrap up now. We're a bit over, but this is so entertaining and just so edutaining. You know, thank you for putting yourselves out there, because it really allows other people to kind of, I think, relate and to learn and to just, you know, feel a little bit more comfortable and excited about dating. So thank you for that. So hopefully in the session you learned how to prep for an amazing first date. Keeping in mind getting down your funnel and really celebrating rejection. We got to see an awesome first date that was like pretty much all the lessons in the previous slides, like in action. So awesome. For your homework, shoot your shot. Just go and shoot your shot. Someone somewhere in your life. That's it. And also send in any questions. You can actually DM me on IG or email me or somehow get questions or post on our Her App IG, any questions you have for our sex and relationship talk on Thursday with Keita Adams, who's a life coach in Austin. You can find a link for all of that in our event landing page. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to bring in some real couples who met on Her and who have navigated some of these sex and relationship talks. So that's going to be really exciting. I am going to kick it to Melody to talk about movie night.
So tomorrow is Wednesday. It is hump day. So I have had the pleasure and honor of hosting weekly free movie night since last May. And I'm telling you, it has been the most amazing experience for me. I've seen love stories, I've seen coming outs, I've seen amazing friendships. So if you're like me, I'm in San Diego, California, where we are on full lockdown. We cannot even eat outside. So it is like super pandemic here. So this is my way that I get to connect with fellow queer women and non-binary people, and it's just amazing. So please come tomorrow. We are watching When the Sky is Falling, and we have some amazing things coming up for the month of February. Valentine's Day is coming. I have a countdown for it. I'm gonna help you have the best Valentine's ever. Don't shake your head at me, Anai. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, come tomorrow. It is 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so half an hour after this started, wherever you are in the world, and we do have people from everywhere. So see you all tomorrow.
Nice. Thanks, Melody. And quick plug, on February 3rd, before the movie night, on that 1st February, we have Imani Rupert Gordon, who is the director of National Center for Lesbian Rights, doing an Ask Me Anything that I'll be hosting to understand what your queer rights are underneath the new administration, which is starting tomorrow. So excited. This is the real new year. So yeah, stay tuned for that as well. Rachel, anything else to shout out for Autostraddle before we wrap it up?
I just want to say thank you everyone for being here, and I hope if you haven't had a chance to check us out before that you can after this. We are going to be gearing up for the next session in this series by posting some of our content about kind of navigating a relationship, whether it's casual, whether it's serious, especially if it's during COVID, and kind of what it looks like once you actually do like someone and kind of figuring out how to live your life with that. So feel free to check us out tomorrow and the day after, and we're excited to see you. Thank you all for being here.
Awesome. Thank you to Rachel. Thank you to Sineade and Lilo, Chris, Melody, Robin, all of you for being here for this, and looking forward to seeing you on Thursday.